Welcome, everyone, to the Real Whovians Cast, episode 591. I am your host, Matrix Lord 212, and I'm with Connor Farley. What's up, Connor?
Hello.
What's up, Mike D?
Hello.
Okay, so the name of this episode is Picnic at Asgard, and with good reason, too, because me and Connor, over the weekend, now, I usually take off on the weekends, as you know, spend time with the boys and with Sharon, but I still text my buddies right here, see what's going on here and there. And it turns out I heard this news that there was going to be Odin in the episode, The Girl That Died, The Woman That Lived. Immediately, my freaking light bulb went on in my Matrix Lord crazy theory head speculation. And I type into Connor on the Facebook Messenger, Picnic at Asgard. I start going friggin' apeshit that, holy crap, the woman that died is friggin' River Song.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, right, Connor? We went crazy after we started talking about that, right?
Yeah. Well, I didn't know much about Odin. I'm not much of a buff when it comes to Viking mythology.
Norse mythology. The Norse gods, yeah.
Yeah, the Norse gods.
See, I'm an Avengers nut and Thor nut. And
yeah, I know that he's been
Odin
in the,
is the king of Asgard, right?
Yeah.
Odin's kind of like what the Greek version of Zeus is.
Right.
Yeah. So, like, when it was announced that David Schofield, who was previously in Merlin, was cast as Odin, and actually, speaking about the casting, it's such a shame because originally it was supposed to be Brian Blessed.
Right.
Oh, that would have been cool.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, damn, that would have been amazing if it was him. But, you know, David Schofield's really good. So, yeah. So when he was announced on Blog to Who, I had to do some research because I didn't know who Odin was.
Right.
And it started to mention that he was the ruler of Asgard.
Right.
So immediately I started to click as well, like with this stuff. There was, you know, Picnic at Asgard, you know, River Song, etc., etc.
Now, here's the thing. Here's our theory here, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, right? We don't know what happened after, you know, River was a baby, that's Melody, okay? To age, I would say, what, 10? An Impossible Astronaut?
Something like that, yeah.
Okay. Here's the problem where you can't tell if it's directly she's age 10, okay? The problem is that, one, Time Lords can regenerate. They could change sex and regeneration, as we know. And as stated, technically, in Utopia, they can regenerate into a child. Okay, because that's what Professor Yana supposedly was, a naked child found with the Fob Watch on the desert. Now, if you could change sex in a regeneration, you could regenerate into a kid. Okay, there's no real, I mean, that's the craziness. So, in fact, River already regenerated into an African American, like, you know, a black child, okay, that was basically, yeah, got it? Okay, so basically, she already regenerated into a black child, and was basically hanging out with Amy Pond and Rory Williams. So, my theory is that she already knew when she was at the end of Day of the Moon, right? She was dying, I guess, and the bum saw her, and she's like, "I'm dying, but it's all right." You know, she knew about regeneration, so that could mean that she already regenerated already. I don't know how many times. So my theory is that this regeneration, there are other regenerations before, okay, Day of the Moon, or after Day. I mean, I think it's actually before Day of the Moon, because she would have had to have known that she could regenerate before Impossible.
I sorry to cut in for a second. That was
Yeah.
Phil. Phil would very much like to come in here
Okay.
to discuss the theories that we're talking about. If you would, he requested that you send him a link on Skype specifically.
Okay. So what? All right. So Connor, why don't you interject while I do that?
Yeah, so we thought that obviously Rivers probably had other regenerations, other incarnations, because there was references to her like saying it was easy. I can't remember the episode that she said that, but you know, and like she had done it several times before, etc., etc. And basically, we thought that because now Odin is in this episode, or in these episodes, the girl who died, the woman who lived,
Melody.
that basically perhaps Maisie Williams is playing a younger River song. And it fits the character description because when Maisie Williams was initially announced a few weeks ago, it was said that she was going to be a test for the Doctor. She was going to challenge the Doctor in 1,000,001 ways, you know.
And he said Moffat said that she's going to give him hell.
Yeah.
Which means that River song, there was like that famous song that, you know, she's going to give you hell, you know, like they had linked with River. River song would give him hell. So that she's basically probably River, a younger regeneration of River.
Yeah.
And that would be the shocking thing.
Yeah, and it's a good theory because in Possible Astronaut, obviously when the Doctor was killed by River, they burnt his body in a Viking longboat out at sea.
Right.
But according to mythology, this is on further research into that kind of Odin Asgard thing.
Yeah. Hey, Bill.
What's
Yeah.
up, Mo?
It was.
What's up?
Not much. I'm at the Crap Donald's, but so far it's not terribly noisy.
Okay. I don't know if Mike D filled you in on the theory that
I
we
did.
had. Okay.
No, he just said that you had one.
Well,
Okay.
we had a couple of different theories regarding different things.
Yeah. Basically, Phil, we found out that there's going to be Odin in a two-part episode, the girl that died, the woman that lived. So immediately we came to the conclusion that it's Picnic at Asgard, meaning that there are other regenerations from Melody Pond before Day of the Moon, where she learns how to regenerate, and that's why at the end of Day of the Moon, she was familiar with regeneration and regenerated again. So the idea is that she had used either one or a few regenerations before Impossible Astronaut Day of the Moon. And because it's Asgard, that would be the Picnic at Asgard that she put in her journal of the meeting she had with the Doctor. It would probably end with her dying and then regenerating.
Hence the girl that lived in the I got it, yeah.
Yeah. So that's not.
No more of the same overused character. I wouldn't mind if they used her again if they gave it a rest. And when I say a rest, I mean like 5 seasons.
Right.
Even then, I would be afraid that she'd get overused. It's just a character that's played out her full length. It would really be better just to say it as a background sort of fact that the Doctor realizes than to actually use the character anymore.
Right. But we got there's other things going on now. We've been talking about the Davros thing. How long, Connor? Over a week and a half already?
No, a little under a week.
About a week. We were at over like I think 5 or 6 casts already about
I
the
don't.
universe.
I don't know. I think it's been more like over a week. It was last weekend we were talking about this.
Well, the news broke on Tuesday.
But we've done how many podcasts we did because the anniversary was Wednesday.
But we
About
technically
9 on Wednesday, yeah.
Yeah, we did technically 9 Real Whovians casts
But
on
wait, didn't
Wednesday.
we? But last weekend, didn't we have like some rumors that there was going to be something with Davros? Or am I mistaken?
That was actually, that was, I think it was a rumor. We might have had that. So
But I thought we picked up on that at that time. But
we did. We were the first to do podcasts on the Davros thing because now everybody's coming out now and doing podcasts now on Davros. We already got a head start with that.
Right.
But more even, Connor's going to go ahead with the next part of this news about an old classic companion going to be joining the Doctor.
Well, actually, first of all, because we haven't actually officially said, that Davros thing has practically been confirmed now.
Right.
That it will be happening in the series opener.
And that's awesome.
Yeah,
That
that's
is awesome.
fucking awesome storyline
That
start.
is awesome.
That is
I
exactly
wonder
what we need
if
for
the
series.
classic companion in question is going to be Joe Grant.
I think it's either
Well, we have a theory about that, Bill.
yeah. Basically, what was leaked? Well, it wasn't really leaked. It was
Yay, Skeletor!
it was fan speculation, but the storyline for Series 9 was supposed to be that obviously the Doctor would meet Davros in The Magician's Apprentice, The Witch's Familiar, and he'd defeat him. But later on in the series, in the last 3 episodes, which would, I assume, be a 3-part finale, leading into Christmas as well, so including Christmas, that Davros would return in another form, similar to what he did in Remembrance of the Daleks, with the white casing that he had in that adventure, and the Doctor, Clara, and a returning classic companion would have to stop a Dalek invasion of Earth, which would result in the final destruction of the Daleks and a return to Gallifrey.
What do you think about that, Bill?
Well, the problem is, unfortunately, his voice on my end was cutting in and out, so I only heard about half of it. So yeah, it's really hard to say what little bit came through. I got the bits about Gallifrey, but not enough to get the connection.
Basically, again, Connor, just want to tell him briefly again.
Davros is going to be in the season opener, and then he gets defeated, returns again in the last 3 episodes, which includes Christmas, in another form, similar to what he was in Remembrance of the Daleks, in the white casing. And what the Doctor, Clara, and a classic companion have to do, a returning classic companion, is stop a Dalek invasion of Earth, which will lead to the final destruction of the Daleks and a return to Gallifrey at Christmas.
I could see maybe some of that, although it sounds like a lot of conjecture unless you've got actual details to back it up. But there's one area where I'm going to completely disagree, and that's any final destruction of the Daleks. A seeming final destruction, sure, but they are never, ever, ever going to get rid of the Daleks for the same reason that Bruce Wayne is never going to disappear from DC Comics.
Correct. I agree with that.
But it does sound interesting. Oh, hold on. I hate when these idiots come through this shit. They think that everyone wants to hear their goddamn whatever that is that they're playing. Anyway, as I was trying to say before some imbecile decided that I wanted to listen to what they think passes as music, is that I just have a real hard time swallowing a lot of this just because don't know of any sources. Have you got any details to back this up, or is this just some guesses on your part?
Well, it's not some guesses on my part. It's what I've heard from. It's what I've seen from other people on various other websites. So it's not actually.
Okay.
My...
Like what sort of websites? I mean, did they have something from the BBC or?
No, it's Gallifrey based, which is usually quite accurate, but you know, sometimes they're not. I'm hoping that this time they're not. But
to be perfectly fair, yeah, sometimes they're not, but they have a better track record than the Sun.
yeah, they do. Yeah.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, okay? The Daleks thing, the Davros thing is just about confirmed, right, Connor?
You know what I think? If what you're hearing from them has any accuracy to it, I don't think that it's so much the final destruction of Gallifrey as it is tying into what happened in Remembrance of the Daleks, where Skaro goes boom, but it won't be the end of the Daleks. It might be the end of Skaro.
Right.
No, but that's conjecture on my part, just based on what I know of the classic series and Davros and the White Case.
Here's the really interesting thing to think about. If we're going to go with that premise that there's going to be a classic companion coming back, and it's going to be a Dalek invasion of Earth, what companion comes to mind?
Susan.
But it's not an obvious thing, he said, supposedly.
But we have Capaldi
don't forget Joe Grant.
Which I think it's definitely Joe Grant. I love Katie Manning. I definitely think it's Joe Grant because they already had her in the TARDIS, like just hanging out with Capaldi, and I think everybody of the fans really want Katie Manning in Doctor Who now. So.
Well, the thing about Susan, I talked to them, Joe and Connor, over the weekend, and we were kind of like conversing about the whole Susan theory. Is Susan left in Dalek's Invasion of Earth, and in that episode, the Doctor gave his famous speech where he said, like, "I shall be back. I'll return. Until then, blah blah blah." And like, we had Capaldi having that, where was he at when Capaldi was talking to those kids?
He showed up at the Doctor Who Experience unannounced and was hanging out with the kids in the role of the Doctor, battling the Daleks and the Curse, the Mummy, whatever. And then basically they were asking him questions, not as Peter Capaldi, but as the Doctor. And the fan asked who his favorite companion was, and he said, my granddaughter, Susan. And then he was all upset, crying, just saying that, I was promised I was going to see her again, and I just can't bring myself to do it. I don't have the courage, but I should really go see my granddaughter. But if you're asking, like, who's the next best thing, something like that, he says, my favorite companion is my current, Clara right now. I besides my granddaughter, I really like Clara right now. I think she's awesome.
Yeah, but we know Capaldi showed up there purposely for that. So, and for him to interject Susan into the conversation could be like a little bit of a hint of things to come.
Correct.
And if you notice, when he said, like, I would never go back to visit Susan because of that, the reasons that you talked about there, but that doesn't mean that Susan would not be, like, forced upon him in a storyline situation where he would have to confront that, and that would make for some good dialogue and drama. We haven't seen Susan for, like, how many years?
Correct.
How many decades?
I know.
And that would be great. And you have Dalek's Invasion of Earth. You have the speech about how he's going to return. All this stuff kind of fits in.
I think it's about time. I mean, we expected it in the 50th. We didn't get it. I think now it's time to have it. Now it's time for Susan to return, or Joe Grant, whoever. I mean, Susan would be the better choice, but if he says it's not obvious, then it would be.
You keep talking like they gave us a 50th. That was the 8th.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think Susan. Yeah, let's get her back already. What do you think, Phil? Would you want Susan to return, or?
Oh, absolutely. You know what? I found it totally disgraceful, even more than them not having the actors for a little brief point, reprising the roles as the Doctor in the 8th anniversary of New Who, I was even more disgusted that they didn't have Carol Ann Ford come on as Susan or come on as the Moment using her image, and they didn't have William Russell come on as Ian Chesterton in the beginning. It should have been him instead of that nobody handing Clara the card. And the fact that they dropped the ball like that, when you have 2 surviving members from the very beginning of Doctor Who, yes, it is way over making an appearance.
Well, and the thing for Susan and Joe Grant, it would be cool to see either of them, but I think it would be really poignant to actually have Susan in there, because even though it would be cool because of the way that the 3rd Doctor had to basically kind of hand over Joe Grant to her husband in a way, and the way that things ended, that either way would be really, really neat to see, but I really would like to see some sort of resolution to the whole Susan thing, and it would kind of bring the whole series full circle.
I would be the one to guess that she didn't have a happy life because the guy got killed the week after, and she was just left there alone with no one, heartbroken. And that could be the story, that she didn't live happy ever after. She became a warrior, a soldier, going after the Daleks everywhere, and that the only person that can help him is the most experienced warrior there is, and not the Doctor, but all Susan would be doing for all these years is hunting the Daleks, becoming an expert. Right?
How about this? Okay, now this is going back into some comics that were never continuity in the episodes, but how about kind of fusing her with another character and making her Absalom Dack Dalek Killer?
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
That was an old, yeah.
That'd be a twist.
That would be a twist, but she could also be very angry with him because she had a miserable, miserable life.
And you know, it could either be a female Absalom Dack, or if you find out that we screw the regeneration, because then we wouldn't have Carol Ann Ford. So yeah, just has a female version of the Absalom Dack character.
And you know what could probably happen is that if she does regenerate, he might erase her memories of him, so that way she can have a better life, and whatever she decides to do.
Come on, that would be great to have the Doctor finally come back full circle to visiting Susan. You know?
It would. I would probably be very emotional while watching that, because I've been wanting to see that for a really, really long time. So
especially Capaldi's older, more mature sort of Doctor, if you will.
Well,
Yeah.
like I said on the chat yesterday, you know, Capaldi's probably the closest to Hartnell we'll ever get. Again,
Right.
probably.
And I know Connor would love that, because Hartnell's like his favorite Doctor, Hartnell and Capaldi. So
Yeah, they're both my
see, but I think that Gallifrey throwing that into the mix is a little too much. I mean, I can see destroying the Daleks, but to throw it all in together, and what is it going to be? A Christmas special is going to be with Clara and Susan and the Daleks and Gallifrey? Then
Yeah.
why don't you just make it a 2-part, you know, like end of time type of thing, where you have Christmas and New Year's, and then do it like that.
What was the final resolution of what we know about with Susan in the continuity, the recognized continuity of things?
We really don't know anything. I mean, we've seen her in the 5 Doctors,
Yeah,
but we really don't know where she's at.
but
Like,
that's a standalone though, right? Like
He was
as
in
far as
Big
not
Finish.
really. I mean, that kind of exists as canon. You know?
He was in Big Finish with the 8th Doctor in a story called An Earthly Child. So not an unearthly child, just an earthly child. And I think, I can't remember, I haven't listened to it, so I'm not sure how it ended, but I think that Susan finds out that she has a son or something. I don't know how she forgot that. It's something along the lines of Susan's son.
I don't think that when it comes to the audios that they will like bring that into it, like as canon. If they bring Susan back, I think they would kind of contradict what the audios have about Susan.
I'll just find out what happens in the end of An Earthly Child. 'Cause
Yeah.
apologies if no one wants this spoiled for them.
But again, this could be Picnic at Asgard that River was talking about, and it would make a lot of sense that, you know, once she got the journal, she threw that stuff in there because she didn't have a journal when this was going on. So you know that she's aware of the Doctor from. There's a reason why she went to live with she went to grow up with Amy and Rory. So how does she know about the Doctor? Who informed her about the Doctor? There had to be some type of adventures with the Doctor that would lead her to want to grow up with Amy and Rory. You know, like you can't just like be like a kid that's in an astronaut suit, get shot, and then I guess somehow she lived from that because 8 months later she's in New York City and she regenerates. So it's not like, you know, a medical variant implanted thing in her head who her mother is, or the silence. So I would think that she met the Doctor before, and that she's just drawn to him like a moth to a flame, like just trying to be part of his life. Even as Mel's, you know, like she just couldn't wait to like meet him, you know. But she met him already, but she probably couldn't wait to just see him again, I guess.
My understanding is that in An Earthly Child, Susan becomes what Rose Tyler was in The Stolen Earth. She was kind of like an alien hunter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, went after the aliens.
Right.
She was basically the Earth's protector. With her son, Alex Campbell.
All right.
I've got a little bit more about Susan, actually. I was thinking, like, wouldn't it be interesting if they actually did, in fact, bring back Susan? And, you know, like right now, like Clara and the Doctor are trying to kind of reformulate their relationship. They're kind of ironing some things out. Wouldn't it be interesting to see how Clara observes how the Doctor is with his granddaughter and the dynamic of what kicked off the whole Doctor-companion relationship of things? And it would kind of probably even some things out with Clara's character as far as the Doctor, to understand him a little bit better in the context of things. And maybe we'll see Clara actually help the Doctor with ironing out some of the things left unsaid with Susan.
Right. And she knows, she first heard about Susan in Rings of Akaten, if you remember.
I was just about to mention that, yeah, because Akaten was a planet that the Doctor visited before with Susan.
Yeah.
First incarnation, so as William Hartnell. Off screen, obviously.
Phil, what do you think of all this stuff?
I had to stop paying attention for a second because I was getting a message from my brother. So if you don't mind kind of giving me a quick lowdown, otherwise we'll just have to skip me on that particular one.
How far back? How many minutes?
About the last 6. He's in the Marine Corps right now, so whenever he messages me, I always take time out to talk to him.
Oh yeah, cool.
All right. Connor, do you have anything else?
No, that's it really.
All right. I guess that's it for this episode of Whovians Cast. We'll be back with the Everything Show. Take care. Bye for now.